Welcome back to another edition of Ego on Break. I'm your host, Dynamite J. Andrews. We got Wicked Wes Warren, one half of the Cavemen. So if you're missing the madman Logan Creed, he'll be back in a day or so. This is a special bonus episode. We're going to get to know a little bit more about Wes Warren, what he's got coming up, his thoughts on the Ursa Major Sterdust feud, and maybe what he's watching in wrestling. So I'd like to ask this question. Watching wrestling lately?
I did. I watched SummerSlam last night, and I watched TakeOver the night before after the Ego show. Yeah. And both of them really stood out to me from an in-ring standpoint, especially the Styles and Joe match. I mean, those guys have history together, and they know how to work. Yeah. Are you familiar with their history? Have you watched any of their older stuff, like with in Ring of Honor, IWA, Mid-South, that kind of stuff? Have you checked any of that out? Not anything from Mid-South, but I did keep up with a lot of stuff from their TNA days. Yeah. Go watch some of their stuff in Ring of Honor. It's really good. Mm-hmm. Those guys, you know, they kind of, I'm not going to say broke in together, but around the same time period, and kind of all ended up in, you know, those big top indie promotions. Yeah. So they definitely really got some really hard-hitting, action-packed matches out there. And I didn't get to see the one from I guess Sunday. Yeah. Yesterday. So I didn't get to see that. So, but I've seen a lot of their older stuff. You can find those guys working Christopher Daniels in like triple threats. Oh yeah, that triple threat blew my mind. So the guys are out there, man. They're tearing it up for sure. So really proud to see them come from the bottom and make it to the top. You know. What'd you think of TakeOver? TakeOver. That was a really solid show from top to bottom. I really enjoyed the tag match that started off, and I was really shocked that at the North American title match. Who was in it? It was Adam Cole defending against Ricochet. Yeah. And those guys have a long history together too, because they've worked each other 100 times over the Indies. Absolutely. And so those guys know each other, and they had a great match. Yeah. At TakeOver on Saturday, and Ricochet came out with the victory. Really? A beautiful 630 senton. Ah, yeah. Thing of beauty. You gonna try that? Yeah. Are you really? Maybe off the top. I don't know. It's a work in progress. Try to the floor. You're gonna have to stay tuned to future Ego shows. Yeah, there you go. I'll tell you. You know, we had the Squared Circle Survival match, and kudos to JD Jenkins for winning the match and surviving the other 7 guys. Well deserved. You had a match with the Steel Dragon Donnie Primetime. I did. What'd you think? I really liked it. Donnie is great. He's really easy to work with. He got the better of me, but this isn't over. Yeah. And so from a from a different standpoint, did you go into the match thinking, you know, maybe I've got Donnie figured out, and maybe did he throw any curveballs at you? You know, some things you didn't expect. Obviously, he at least caught you with something you didn't expect as he defeated you. But like, did you get the fight that you thought you were going to get? I did. I was very much enjoyed the match. I feel like we just scratched the surface of what we're capable of. I've been trying to find that opponent that I can have my thing with. Right. And I think I may have found it with Donnie. It's gonna take a few more tries, but I feel like we had something there. So what you're saying, this is definitely a challenge for a future date, huh? You want Donnie Primetime Part 2? I do. Awesome. I'd love to step in back with Mr. Primetime. Yeah. So Donnie, if you're watching. Yeah. There you go. So following the your match with Donnie, we had Ursa Major and Sterdust come out, and your partner Alex Graves was right there willing to fight, and a fight he did. He did. But you got your hands on Sterdust for just a second before you were attacked by Ursa. So what's the deal? Like, I don't know. For some reason, they have decided to stick their noses in our business. Like they definitely have a thing for you guys. Like I don't know what their deal is, but they've been shoving their noses in our business for the past few months, and it just got to me. I really dug that. You know, they came out and attacked you guys, and y'all gave them a bit of a payback when Ursa came out for the Squared Circle Survival match. You and Graves attack him. I didn't see that coming. And but I was like, you know what, that's well deserved. Like they deserve to give him a little bit of his own medicine. So I mean, the fact that Shaky McMullen just after the Boot Boys broke up just let himself get brainwashed by Sterdust just makes me sick that somebody like that could just give himself over to a puppet master like Sterdust. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things, man. Like, you don't understand it, but there's so much about the brain that we don't understand. Like, you know, there's people that, you know,
I'm sure they don't let themselves get brainwashed or, you know, fall into these traps or that kind of thing. But, you know, sometimes just saying the right stuff means everything, you know, so.
Sterdust is a good delegator, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Shaky was just looking for something. Sterdust just happened to be there.
Right, he found it for sure. But you guys got a big match coming up September 22nd. Y'all challenged them to a
elimination tag.
Yeah. Yep. What's the thoughts behind that? Is it just simply, you know, we want to beat both of you guys? Is that kind of the mindset?
Yeah, it's retribution. I mean, they've been, you know, as I've been saying, they've been sticking our nose in their business, and we're sick of it, you know.
Right.
Sterdust has been hiding by Ursa, Shaky, whatever you want to call him now. He's been hiding behind him, and I think it's finally time for him to get his just desserts. Yeah,
because, I mean, you know, you could go into it and you could just go, hey, we want to fight Ursa. We beat Ursa, but Sterdust is always in the background.
Sterdust is always running his mouth.
You know, so now you can literally say, no, we beat you and Ursa. So I dig the idea behind it, man, and I wish you guys luck. I know luck's definitely going to be on you. You know, you got to have luck because, you know, Ursa's been unstoppable since he's been brainwashed. And, you know, Sterdust is undefeated. You know, what he doesn't have in muscle, he's definitely got in brain power. So we saw him outsmart Adam Priest and Orion Taylor. So Sterdust is undefeated, you know. So, but you guys are former Pro Wrestling Ego Tag Team champions. So I definitely rooting for you guys. Tell us about Wes Warren. Like, I know a lot of our fans, you know, they seen you come on, you know, you come out of the Ego Dojo, and you and Alex Graves, and y'all broke into the tag scenes. Y'all won tag gold early on, and just give us some history about Wes Warren, like what motivates him to be a wrestler. Like, kind of go off, you know, out of character a little bit, and tell us about the guy behind Wes. Like always a wrestling fan, like favorites, like, you know, give us some of that backstory of Wes Warren.
Yeah, well, I've been watching wrestling since I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I just got hooked to it. Yeah, those larger than life characters, people doing these cool moves, the fan interaction. What's
the first thing that just like, man, this is it? Like, do you have I remember this moment, this is when I got hooked, or was it just
the first really clear memory I have of watching wrestling was in early 2002. I saw the NWO trap The Rock in an 18-wheeler or in a truck, and they ran him over with an 18-wheeler.
And you were like, man, one day I want to get ran over by an 18-wheeler.
Yeah, of course. So, you know, I mean, it was every kid's dream to get ran over in a truck by Hulk Hogan in the NWO.
Yeah, I mean, why not? You know. So that was kind of, that's what got you hooked.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily like, oh, it was this match. It was more like,
it was more of a moment. Yeah. Yeah. More of a.
That's cool, because, you know, a lot of people, oh, you know, this got me hooked or that got me hooked, but, you know, so much is kind of behind the scenes stuff a lot of times. Yeah. It's not necessarily the match, but the build up to the match.
Yeah, a lot of people have interesting stories like that.
Yeah, I dig that, man. Like, we don't do a lot of that in Ego, and it's one of those things. It's because trying to do what works on television, because they have all this time to build it up when you really have, you know, a month or sometimes 2 weeks between events and things. It's hard to build it up, but I dig that idea that a moment could hook you more than a match, you know, or a particular wrestler. Because, you know, the NWO and The Rock may not be your favorite wrestlers, but they were definitely the moment in what you saw that you were like, this has got
like, this is really intense. I like this. I'm gonna watch next week. You know, they got me hooked, and I wanted more. So
absolutely. Well, do you have a like maybe a favorite wrestler?
Yeah, I got a few. A lot of people that influenced me were Edge. The Rock actually did. I love his charisma, the way he just captivates the crowd. He's got everybody in the palm of his hand for every single word, every single syllable that comes out of his mouth. People are hanging on. I like Edge, his craziness. Big Ric Flair fan. I love the Flash, love the Flair. No pun intended.
Yeah.
But Ric Flair, Edge, The Rock, guys like Punk. You know, they were different. They're outside the box. Had great mic skills. Guys like even Chris Benoit. You know, despite all the controversy, I mean, but you know, I loved him from an in-ring
character, not the person. Right.
Exactly. I study his stuff a lot. Him and like matches like him and Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Great material.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, Benoit, like, you know, I do not support the things he did his last few days, you know, or even maybe things he was doing for the last few years in his personal life, because we don't know them as people. but definitely that character on television that we saw, the intensity and just that sheer will to be the best, man. That's like, I don't think you can find a better guy to be like, you know, he was the role model for so many. You know, Jericho talks about how much, you know, Benoit influenced his career, and you know, he hates that, you know, that because of his actions in the last few days of his life, that all of that has been erased. Because even though, you know, he was a phenomenal wrestler, it's hard to justify being a fan when you know what he did, you know, in his home life. But I've tried to look at like wrestling as just like an actor. You know, I'm not going to, you know, I may be the biggest Johnny Depp fan as far as his movies, but I may not agree with his lifestyle outside the movies.
Right, you get hooked with the character, not the person. So, and I think as wrestling fans, sometimes we forget that that's two different things. You know, we want to believe that, you know, the Undertaker's really walking down the street dressed in all black with his hat smoke
on.
going around him, there's gongs
and, you know, druids and somebody, you know, somebody dragging a casket behind him. Like, you know, we get caught up, and, but we get caught up thinking that's the real guy, you know, and you see him at a baseball game, he's got a, you know, a pink polo shirt on or something. You're like, well, who is this guy? You know, so
this isn't the Undertaker.
Yeah, it's definitely weird as fans the way we capture things, and you know, we almost believe, you know, but I guess in a way, you know, if you watch, you know, Days of Our Lives, you know, like my grandma grew up watching, or I grew up watching my Days of Our Lives, and I'm sure she believes that's their real life. You know, deep down she knows, okay, these are all actors, but because it's an everyday part of her life, they're all, those characters are the real people, you know. Yeah,
it's just like that suspension of disbelief.
Right,
you know?
right.
Movies have that, you know, wrestling has that.
Yeah.
It's just part of the game.
So I've noticed that you've started incorporating the cross body block off the top rope, like into your matches and as a, you know, essentially a finisher. Is there any guys you studied, or like what made you do that? Like,
I needed something.
Give us something, you know, about that.
I needed something off the top that could take out anybody, and I really got it from about watching Ricky Steamboat. Yeah, grew up watching him too. Ricky Steamboat influenced me to start doing that crossbody.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
You know, there was like back in the day, you know, I say back in the day, but like 90s and 80s, and you know, that was really that big baby face.
Yeah,
you know,
that was a big move.
Like even Orton, when he first came in, you know,
Orton had a beautiful one. Yeah,
he was doing the. He
doesn't do it anymore, but like right when he started,
right, it's kind of like the introduction to
he did like a frog splash crossbody, kind of.
So it's different, man. Everybody putting their own little spin on it. But I do agree. Like I think it's worked well for you so far. I know you attempted it in the match against Donnie, and he kind of ducked it. So that
high risk, high reward.
Yeah,
crash and burn type of move.
Absolutely.
If you hit it, you're golden. If you don't, it's gonna hurt. And it did Saturday.
Yeah. Is there something out there you like, man, one day I'm gonna do this move, or I'm gonna do this? Is there something?
Eventually, you're gonna see me jump from that apron to the top rope and springboard with this crossbow.
Yeah. Yeah. So a little insight into the future, huh?
Yeah. Keep your eyes peeled.
Yeah. So have you attempted it to do the springboard yet?
Yeah, I attempted it. Not this past Saturday, but the week before, I went down and faced the guy that just won the Square Circle Survival, JD Jenkins, down at Revolt Pro Wrestling.
Okay, that's down in Florida?
Yeah. They mainly run out of Alabama, but they were in Florida this time.
Right.
And I tried it, and he caught me slipping and capitalized on it. So.
Well, how does it feel to springboard? I've never springboarded.
It requires a lot of commitment.
Yeah. And
a lot of balance.
Yeah.
I've learned that doing it, most of it is you got to follow through with it. Don't get nervous.
Don't be scared. Absolutely.
You got to commit to it, or it ain't gonna work.
I'll tell you, this is just a little off subject, but it kind of deals with you as your partner. He did something in his match where he was on the second rope, and he just leaped from the second rope blindly up to the top, and I was like,
yeah,
man, that has to be...
Graze is pretty quick.
That has to be scary, man.
Quick. Yeah.
You know, like, one wrong move and bam, it's over, you know.
A lot of room for error.
I mean, when I was wrestling, I would do a springboard and go over the top, and, you know, once you tuck your head, you don't know if the guy's there or not. So it's all like, please be there. And a few times I've crashed and burned, and yeah, I'm not going to say that it stops you from doing it, because the rush of doing it definitely outweighs
it's a big rush.
The pain, you know. But you got a dream opponent? Like, not like, let me rephrase that. Do you have a dream opponent that is possible? Like, not a, like, ooh, I want to wrestle Hulk Hogan or I want to wrestle, you know, John Cena or anything like that. But is there somebody out there you're like, man, like, that'd be the goal for me in wrestling if I could wrestle that guy at this stage of my career?
Yeah, right now for me, it's actually a guy that's helped train me a lot, and that's Mr. Ray Fury.
Really?
I've been actually about a year ago. A little more insight into who Wes Warren is.
Yeah.
I went to my first Ego show I went to was January of 2017, and it was Ray Fury versus Joey Abel in a ladder match. And
that was your first show?
That was my first show, and when Nightmare came back and interfered in that match. And during that match, I remember Fury came out, and I said, one day, Ray Fury, I'm going to wrestle you one day.
All right,
that was before I ever started training, before I ever stepped foot in the ring. Yeah. I'm going to wrestle you one day, Ray Fury. And now, a little over a year and a half later, it seems like that
possibility may be coming.
It might become true.
All right, that match is special for me in a different reason, and it's because following up on that match, we basically paused that match. In theory. What was your thoughts on that? Like,
that was very
did you go to the second show?
I did come to the second show, yeah.
I've
been to every Ego show since.
But I mean, did you go as a fan, or were you like coming in as a student by that?
I was coming in as a student by then.
Okay.
So
what did you think of the idea? Like, give it to me, good, bad, ugly. Like, what was your thoughts as a wrestling fan on how that match went down?
I thought it was very different because nobody ever seen it before, especially down in the South.
Right.
But I also feel like some of the crowd didn't understand exactly what we were doing. I feel like if you would have done that over like the East Coast or the West Coast,
they would have
gotten it. You know, it would have made more sense. But you know, it was basically it's like you hit pause.
Yeah.
Then you hit play.
And we positioned them.
Right.
You know, a month later we positioned them right where they would have been at right before the match was thrown out.
I think it'd be very cool to maybe incorporate that somewhere down the line. You know.
So you think do it again?
Being too predictable, yeah.
Yeah, I dig it, man. I dig it. So you never know. You may see a part 2 of the match that was paused and continued.
Yep.
I dig it, man.
It's a good idea.
I like thinking outside the box as a promoter.
You got to in these days. I mean, especially 2018. You know,
yeah.
It's hard to be original sometimes. It's like moves have been done. You see a bunch of moves being done by 10 different people, like a super kick, for example. I mean, how many people throw a super kick?
Well, you know, like, take the Young Bucks example. Everybody was throwing super kicks. So what do? They turned the super kick into
like their gimmick.
Yeah, like it's the super kick party, and we're not going to throw one. We're going to throw 50.
Yeah, we're going to throw 50 while you're on your knees at the same time.
Yeah, you know, like
bang, bang,
our whole offense is based around the super kick and how many times we can hit it. So I mean, it was just that different concept, and that's one of the things that really put them over the edge as being a top tier team, is the fact that they took a chance on what people were saying was, oh man, you're ruining it, you're killing it, blah blah blah. Like they got so much feedback from it in a negative, look, that they're like, yeah, we're gonna turn this negative to a positive. You say we throw, 10 super kicks is too many, we're gonna throw 100. So and I mean, in a way, if you think about it, like, look at Brock Lesnar's offense.
It's just German F5.
That's it. I mean, he's got 45 Germans. You know, like,
you see people in the crowd with a sign goes 1, 2. They keep count.
So like, why is that not ruining? If the Young Bucks super kick party was ruining, why not Brock Lesnar's
Suplex City?
Yeah, why is that not ruining it?
That's not
wrestling fans, man. Like,
oh yeah.
Or let me rephrase that: wrestlers. Like, wrestlers don't want to change with the time. I'm sure there's been a lot of said about ego and some of the things we do, and it's one of those things, like, I like to just see if it works.
Yeah.
The square circle survival match, like, a 8-man gauntlet in Mississippi or in the South is unheard of. Like, it doesn't happen. Like, why are you wasting 8 guys in one match? And why don't you do a battle royal? Well, because it's different.
Exactly.
It's our take. The whole, the medallion. The idea that this medallion can change the face of the company. Yeah. And we saw it in play last year. We did it as a Royal Rumble. And, Nightmare won that. And he used it to literally change the face of the tag team division as they forced the Abbey Street Boot Boys to break up.
Yeah, I like the medallion because it's kind of got that Money in the Bank feel to it, but it's got more to it. It's got more to it.
Right. Everybody does the Money in the Bank, and I was like, well, how can that be different? And I was like, well, what if you used it in a way, maybe you don't want the title shot.
Maybe you want to break a team up.
Like, this was my original thought. What if you had the title match? And, in wrestling, especially in the South, is like, if you don't beat me tonight, you'll never get a title shot. Okay, what if that happened? Now you have a way to get another title shot.
Exactly.
Like, that was literally my thought behind it. Or, you know, if one of these, like, you know, if I came out and shaved your head, you know, you wanted to get revenge, you could, like, you know, if I beat you, you know, like, you can't say no. It's guaranteed. This medallion guarantees it.
I'm looking forward to seeing what JD does.
I am too.
Because,
like,
you know, his intentions are different than what Nightmare's.
Right. You
Nightmare
know,
used it for, I guess, nefarious means.
Evil,
yeah. So he tried to break up. He actually broke up JD's tag team.
Yeah, you know, like, because of that, you saw Chuck McMullen leave.
Yep. You know what happened with Shaky. Now
you saw Shaky get kidnapped and brainwashed. Yep. And then you see Boot Boy Bubbler turn into JD Jenkins, who became a certified butt kicker.
Yeah, he's been on a tear ever since.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, has he won every match? No, but has he left a mark? Absolutely. And I mean, you know, I'm sure that either you know, maybe Ray Fury was the pick to win the Squared Circle Survival, or maybe Josie Quinn. But the fact that, you know, Josie had to cheat to beat Ray Fury, and then JD beat Josie Quinn clean was like, you know, he essentially got revenge for the guy cheating Fury. You know, so it's a very cool moment, man, and I was excited to see it. And I'm like you, I'm definitely digging, like, what's he going to use it for, you know?
You might see him in O'Shea Part 2 again, because they did have a title match a few months ago.
They did.
So, you know, I'm sure JD would love to get his hands on that belt again. So.
Or, I mean, you know, he may use it to get a one-on-one match with Sterdust. Like, hey, he may want his friend back.
Anybody that wants to beat up Sterdust, I'm all down for it.
You know, I mean, yeah, he could bring in a tag partner and challenge for the tag titles.
Yeah, he could do anything he wants with it.
He could force O'Shea to defend the Styles title. I mean, there's so much that could happen, you know, based on that medallion, you know. So,
very interesting little artifact he has.
Yeah. So, wrapping up, give us something about Wes Warren that maybe we don't know. Like, whether that's a story, you know, something you plan to do in the future. And I know it's putting you on the spot a little bit. And I'll go ahead and throw out some plugs. So, September 22nd, Feel Invincible 2. It's a big night. Mr. Wes Warren, Alex Graves taking on Sterdust and Ursa Major. We also, November the 3rd, 7th Annual Great Southern 8. You're going to see wrestlers from all over the South basically just coming into Mississippi and taking over. And we do a tournament, 7th year we're doing it. It's got some big guys been in the past. Some guys went on to do a lot of good stuff. And so that's happening November 3rd. And then check us out on Fully Gimmicked, man. We got t-shirts. There's Sterdust shirts, which I'm sure you don't want one. But there's a lot of good shirts over at Sterdust. JD Jenkins has a shirt over there. There's Ego coloring books at Fully Gimmicked. And check out our sponsors, Norville Chiropractic Clinic. We got them. We've got No Limit Jiu-Jitsu. We've got Derby Designs, House Show Podcast. We just picked up Adams and McDermott Law Firm. And they're sending a representative September 22nd with that.
Oh, really?
And,
is it who I think it is?
I have no idea who they're sending. So,
you might have an idea.
You know, I'm looking forward to that. But to wrap the show up, give us a Wes Warren. You know, this is majority about Wes Warren. I know we went on a tangent just here and there, but you got something that you could throw out that maybe we don't know? Like, is there a road trip story or something funny that's happened to you in wrestling? Or, I mean, sky's the limit.
I don't have any funny road trip stories, but I know I do have a huge chip on my shoulder right now.
Okay.
I got a lot to prove still.
Just with the fact that maybe your singles career hadn't been the way you wanted it.
Exactly.
All right, so let me ask you this. We need to know something. Let's see, what can we know? What's Wes Warren listening to on the radio? Like, what's in his head when he prepares for a match? Let's do that. What's going through Wes Warren's head when he prepares for a match?
I got to go out there and make it the best match I possibly can be.
Okay.
Because I've been looking for that one match that defines me, that one match that everybody can point to and say, hey, this is what Wes Warren's capable of.
So is that just a lot of pressure going through your head? Just going like,
it's mainly pressure because I feel like I have a lot to prove right now.
I got you. Anything coming up for Wes Warren outside of Ego? Is there any traveling dates?
September 8th, I'm traveling down to Louisiana for Elevate Pro.
Yeah.
Be right there.
Any idea who you're wrestling?
I'm wrestling Mr. Moditude.
Moditude?
Mott. Yes.
Moditude.
Well, trainee down there.
Okay. So, Wicked Wes Warren versus Moditude, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I dig it, man.
Just Moditude.
Well, I appreciate you being on.
Absolutely.
So, guys, we'll see you tomorrow as we're going to hook it back up with the Mississippi Madman. Later.
See ya.